Good morning. Good morning. Hey, it's going to be an awesome day. We have another beautiful Tuesday here in Galveston County with Dr. Chapa from Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center located in League City. My good friend Dr. Chapa has been coming in studio here in KHEA for some years now. It feels like it's been 80 years. No, it has not been quite that long. Dr. Chapa, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Gardy. I'm doing great. It's another lovely day in the world, and I'm just thankful to be upright, breathing and alive, full of energy, and ready to talk shop and share the good news that God's put in my heart to teach people how to live well, be well, and stay well, one bite at a time.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of shop, how is the shop, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center? How has your spot been?
We've definitely seen a lot of different cases come in of concern, but thankfully no coronavirus, and but the people are sick. People are still dealing with allergies. People still have their issues going on. We had a guy pass almost 100 gallstones this past weekend.
That's a lot.
And so that was one of our gallbladder flush programs that we put together, and it is a lot. And it's a painless process. But they said it couldn't be done. I mean, they said that there's no way that you can do that. And yet we've got 100 stones and pictures to prove it. And some of these were the size of nickels and dimes and stuff. So, I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, the body always, and I'm always thankful about this, it wants to adapt. It wants to come back into a balance of, synergy and function fully the way God created it to. And we just have to be willing to give it enough time, enough resources for that to transpire.
All right. Hey, let's kick it on to the FM. We're going to have a good show. If you're watching on social media or you're listening on Apple Podcasts and going back and however you get your podcasting stuff from, share this out. Go ahead and hit the share button. We're going to spread some positivity today, and we're going to be talking about health, nutrition. Feel free to ask questions, maybe even your life questions. I feel like Dr. Chapa has the answers and the keys to those as well. Here we go. Good morning. This is KHEA Radio 99.5 FM. This is Kickstart. My name is Gardy, and I have my good friend Dr. Chapa here in studio. We're going to be talking about health and nutrition with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. So if you're taking the time and you're hearing my voice, maybe you're in your car, go ahead and text a friend. Maybe you are at home, you're quarantined, you're locked up, and you are looking to pass the time. This is the perfect way to pass the next hour of your life, and we're going to be spreading some positivity and giving you some tips on how to live healthy, especially during this time. Dr. Chapa, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Gardy. Thanks for having me on yet again. I love being here. I love sharing with the people of our southeast area, and the greater Houston area, and anywhere that you're at digitally. The beautiful thing about digital radio and the technology of the day is we can reach across the globe. I mean, we're on TV, we're on the radio, we're really working to spread information to all those around us about how to live better, be better, and stay better, one bite at a time. And the body does. It wants to get better if we give it the right resources and enough time to pull the system back on track. And that's to be encouraged. And so we want people to always be encouraged whenever you're dealing with any type of health ailment, because stuff will happen. The absence of symptoms is not a status of your health. So health is not the absence of symptoms. So consider, that if you do have symptom patterns, doesn't necessarily mean that you're unhealthy. It just means that you got symptom patterns. Get a break from it all. But the doors are closed and locked up, or there's so many other stress factors to consider right now, and I just want people to recognize that there are a lot of things we can do to stay ahead of the curve. There's a lot of things we can do to take care of ourselves and those that we love, and there's things that we can do to get present again and reevaluate. Use this time as a time of reflection where we recognize that there is other things other than work. I mean, I've read plenty of books that indicated people that make it to the end of their life, they never regret the number of days they worked, or the number of days they didn't work. They typically regret the lost relationships and the loneliness that they feel in the later stages of life because they didn't nurture and prune those relationships. So this is a relationship building time, and it's a part of your health as much as what you eat every day and what you drink every day. But when it comes down to food, let me just say, let me just say, I am befuddled. Shipping has not shut down, and people are acting as if they aren't going to eat another meal for 3 weeks. And the reality is that is thankfully not our problem, that food isn't going to be available. But what is going to be a problem is the people that were doing, started the year off strong on their workout plans.
That was me.
And now can't work out.
That's me.
They're not drinking their water like they were.
Yeah.
They're not, they're stressed about their sleep, and then they're eating comfort foods because they don't know when this chaos is going to end. And the comfort foods are going to eat your lunch. They say 80% of any successful workout is based on your diet. I would say 80% or more is going to be your athletic result. At 80% or more is going to be the way you stress and the way you handle the day to day. And so when we eat comfort foods and we keep eating ourselves into these diabetic states, these cardiovascular states, we are going to have more people suffering with health ailments from the food choices they're making, the processed food that they're putting in, than we are the immune challenge that we're all faced with.
Wow. That's really tough to think about. I did start the year pretty strong. I did the detox, the 21-day ultimate detox. Life was looking good. I was feeling good. Working out was everything that it was to me. It was something that I enjoy. All of the gyms have been closed. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the restaurants not the restaurants, but the grocery stores have lines, and you can't go eat at a restaurant. So all these things have been kind of thrown in there. But at the end of the day, I'm probably just making excuses because there's still stuff I could be doing, right?
There is, and I like the book Magic of Thinking Big. It talks about excuse-itis. We always, just as the natural tendency of man, we have a tendency to look for any reason not to take care of ourselves or to not, steward our time or steward our finances or steward. It's easy to get in debt. It's easy to gain weight. It's easy to get unhealthy in a symptom state. It's hard to pull out of those ruts. It's not impossible, but it takes a lot more effort to get out of a rut than it does to, fall ourselves into one.
Mm-hmm. I brought this tiny water with me here today, so that way I could kind of show off. It's
and
something
say that
I had
you
in
were
the fridge.
Ahead of the game?
Yeah, I'm ahead of the game, but this is maybe the first time I've drank water in a couple weeks or so. But
I
hey,
hope not. I hope not, Gardy.
In the shower,
Pete.
In the shower, I just open my, just kind of gargle it around. Maybe accidentally drink some when I'm brushing my teeth or something. But it's been difficult. I have a new baby. He's home, doing good. My sleep schedule's thrown off. Trying to homeschool the kid, my son right now. He's the only one that's in school. But whenever I see you and talk to you, you are the most relaxed person of all time. We were talking about stress earlier. I see you this morning and I'm like, "What's up, Dr. Chapa? How you doing?" He said, "I'm finer than frog hair," like you do every day.
You ever seen hair on a frog, Gardy?
I've never seen hair on a frog.
It's so fine, brother. So fine.
How do you manage to stay so calm and relaxed and just ease during this time?
Well, number one, I got God on my side. I know who's going to win this battle. I know where my help comes from. I pray always that my mind's attention and my heart affections will stay present on the Lord Jesus. And, the calm waters are where he is. And I want to walk on water. I want to have a good story, a good testimony. And I just remind you, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, and I will say, God gave me a revelation about 3 months ago that I'm walking by faith right now. I got a lot of things in the hopper and a lot of stresses that are potentially stressful, and I want to have a good story on this side. I was reading in the book of Deuteronomy, and the Israelites were 11 days away from their promised land, and they grumbled, they complained, they bickered, they argued, they were cantankerous, and that led them 40 years in the desert, and many of them died before they reached the promised land. And people ask, how's your new projects going? I said, well, I'm 11 days away from my promised land. And I'm just gonna, because they always say God did. If it's God's will, it's God's bill.
Yeah.
If it's God didn't ask me to pay for it, He asked me to believe for it. It's as a walk by faith. Well, as I was going through that process, I started watching patients, and patients were coming in with the same issue, walking by faith. And I was like, This person's got a marital crisis. This person's got a financial crisis. This person's got a family issue crisis. This person's got a particular health crisis. This person's got whatever the crisis is. Like, there's always something that's trying to rob you of your joy. And I want to encourage you. You're 11 days away from your promised land. Call it in. Stay in the faith. This is what, let's see. I hope it's he who has my commandments. It is he who, no, that's not it. I've been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but Christ that lives within me. And the life that I now live, I live by faith in the flesh, in the Son of God who loves me and gave himself up for me, Galatians 2:20. And that scripture really says it all. Like, it dawned on me, we're all walking by faith. And then all of a sudden, the chaos started. The real chaos started. This for which we're all, brinked into. We're going through it together, And we have to remember that any way, shape, and form, loneliness is a real deal. And it will sabotage you. An idle mind is the devil's playground. You better be putting your helmet of salvation on. You better be girding yourself with the belt of truth and your breastplate of righteousness, your boots of peace, and your shield of faith, and your sword of the Spirit. You better pick it up and be ready for battle, because loneliness, being trapped in your homes, can be a challenge. And I know you got family, you got your husband, your wife, but man, that might be a whole new game for you. I'm not used to being 8 hours in the same room, in the same house with that guy, that gal, and I don't know if I like it.
Yeah.
Don't start preaching, Chop. But at the end of the day, the reality is this is a new curve for all, and this is one of the things that I've been talking to people about from the get-go. From the get-go, number one, first and foremost, we have to make sure that we recognize stress when it comes upon us. So how does Dr. Chapa handle it? He handles it recognizing the stress when it comes upon him. So if you can name a thing, Aristotle says, you can control a thing. And so I want to recognize that I'm as human as you. If you hear my voice, I deal with stresses all the time. I deal with challenges all the time. But I believe that God has given every seed-bearing plant, every nutrient, for every pathogen, for every virus, for every bacteria, for every parasite, for every burden that you're carrying. There's 2 to 3 antidotes that He's also provided for you. Now, sometimes it's your life, your health, your choice. It's up to you to walk through that door. And but remember, God is interested in healing you, whether it's a health condition or a sin in your life, right? He's interested in that. He's more interested, though, in your health. And health and salvation are in the same, original text of the same word. They are the same word, salvation and health. And God is interested in that. But God is most interested in your holiness and who you become in the storms of life. Do you carry the testimony? Do you look different? Do you stand apart from, the crowd and look more like Jesus whenever the storms get rough? And so I recognize that I am what we call an adrenal stress type person. Like, I'm very high energy. My adrenal glands are constantly firing, and I get fired up and excited about stuff, and so especially things I'm passionate about. And I feed my body these 3 nutrients, and I will encourage every person that hears my voice to assess your stress. If your stress is on a 0 to 10 scale, a 7, 8, 9, or a 10, you better intervene, because you're in what we call a fight or flight response, a reactionary state where your body overreacts. And that is a space where you can dysregulate blood sugar pathways, you can dysregulate inflammatory pathways, you can tear apart your digestive tract and alter your digestive system, and stress can absolutely, positively ruin and affect your health just as bad as eating sugar. That's why people take finals, and finals time comes around and everybody gets sick. And so assessing the stress, if you're a 7, 8, 9, or 10, Mintran, Adaptogrin, Nevaton. We do not run out of this stuff. We fight to keep this on our shelves because it is such a vital piece, and it works every time. It outperforms many, many, many medications that people try to take, because I'm not giving you something to paint over your rust. I'm giving you something in the storm. I'm allowing your body to use the adrenal support to fire up your stress mechanism, to give your brain the mental breaks to slow down enough so that you can think again and not overreact. And then Nevaton to give your neurological system the tolerance, the capability of handling more. And so this is one of my favorite trios that, you know, God's put in my lap to share with people. And I want you to share it with people. I want you to tell people about, like, you can de-stress and you can regulate yourself, especially if you're one of these people that naturally is prone to high stress situations. And this is one how I do it is I'm constantly am feeding into this system and want to make these systems work more effectively for myself so that I can better take care of my patients who come in trusting that I'm going to lead them down the primrose path and help them. And none of these are habit forming. These are not drugs. These are herbs. These are key nutrients, minerals, and calcium and magnesium that just bring an overall foundational piece back into the system. And 15 minutes you can start feeling a calm come over you, which is pretty remarkable. And so one thing I do a lot of is I supplement well. You know, I don't just trust that I can get it all from my diet. I know people want to say, I just want to get all my vitamins from my diet. Well, you just ate oatmeal. I'm sorry. You got a few B vitamins maybe, but you missed out on a bunch of stuff. What about your essential fatty acids? I mean, there's no omega-3s and 9s in your standard American breakfast. You know, if you're eating anything processed, there's no omegas in there that are anti-inflammatory, that are cardiovascularly friendly, that are neurologically savvy. I mean, and so we've got to supplement that. And so we use things to pour in inflammation-reducing support via essential fatty acid restoration. I am blown away. Never once has somebody come in that has had adequate essential fatty acid counts in their body. And so we always are trying to build up the cell membrane because every cell in your body has a phospholipid bilayer that we can feed and make stronger, which means when the brain says jump, your legs do what they're supposed to do for you to jump. And then they give a feedback response back to the brain to let the brain know that the job was done. And even an assessment if it was done well. And so we want to make sure that your system is performing like it's supposed to. And it always goes down to the cellular level. The next thing that I do to stay calm, cool, and collected, if there's a question, just interrupt me, Gardy. But I just get excited about this. You know, I think that people forget we're all in, like, freak out mode, like, fight or flight. You know what I mean? We're surviving. You know, we're working hard to survive. And we forget that it's important to make sure that your bowels are moving every day. So remember earlier we said assess your stress. Well, you also want to assess the quality of your bowels. Look up the Bristol chart on YouTube or Google or Images or something and look at the pictures and see where you land. If you find that you've got hard, dry rocks coming out of you that hurt and they're painful, that isn't normal. That means you're dehydrated. That means you're not getting enough minerals in your body to create good metabolic activity and breakdown, and things are going through your tissues too slow, like a big boulder barreling through the system, and that can be very traumatic to your tissues. You know, I mean, let me step on your toes a couple times, you'll move.
Yes.
And that's what those rocks feel like in your intestinal tract. Or if you've got, the slippery slope and things are loosey-goosey and you can't, seem to worry about making a mess, or if you're going to make it to the destination in time, that means things are going through too fast. You haven't had time to grab the nutrients out of the digestive tract that you're trying to bring into the system for healthy cellular assimilation. We want to build you up. We want to bolster your tissues. Who's that?
This is Amber Murphy with Butler's Courtyard.
Come on, Amber. That's my girl right there. Preach it, baby.
She sent me a message and said everyone else is hoarding TP, and here she is.
Got some Adaptogrin, Mintran, Nevaton probably on her shelf.
She's hoarding that Adaptogrin.
Is that Adaptogrin?
Yeah, it's nothing but Adaptogrin. And she was like, hey, I'm going to get all this. I need to be de-stressed.
That is a testimony right there. That is 5 bottles of backup Adaptogrin, baby. I think you, sister, are brilliant. Brilliant. Bravo. Dr. Chapa applauds you. I stand in the corner and say, I salute you. Good work.
This is her
way to be
handling the stress of not having toilet paper. She goes to the store, no toilet paper. She's like, well, I'm going to Chapa's and getting the Adaptogrin because it's the only way I'm going to not even care about this, and I'll figure it out later. That's awesome.
You know what? I had a patient come in. She goes, we never worried about toilet paper growing up. We just looked for the nearest Sears Roebuck catalog. And I go, whoa, stop it. That's crazy. I can't even imagine.
They were being for real?
They were being as for real as could be, apparently. That was, somebody that that knows what a Sears Roebuck catalog can comment and verify if that's a true statement or not, or if that was just a crazy family line of activity. I don't know, man.
I guess it happens.
But, I mean, you got to do what she's got to do, I guess.
Yeah, make it happen. Hey, here's a question. This is from Jordan. He said, what would you recommend for joint pain in the knee? I drive a lot and my knee is always stiff. Is there something he can take to help his knee?
Left knee. That's what I'd like to know. First and foremost, the right, when it's knee pain, typically it's liver pain. And so you go, how's my liver affecting my knees? Your body stores toxins in 3 places. If your body cannot get the toxins out of your number 1 primary exit channel, it will find extra secondary exit channels or will be stored in quarantine of your body. Your brain, that's why people can't remember why they walk into a room. Fat cells, that's why the fat cell can swell up 7 times the size of normal and people don't like it. And or the joints. And typically when the liver is backed up, the knees take the brunt of the pain. And so turmeric forte, we use a turmeric/fenugreek product to increase its absorption 47 times more potent than just turmeric alone, 20 times more potent than just with like the black pepper. And it is an easy way to de-inflame the tissues. And we nourish the liver. So we do something with the fats. We do something with the liver to start nudging and moving the liver forward. You could start by doing more asparagus and artichoke and beets in your diet. I like a product, if you don't like those things, called AF Beta Food. Great beet product, and cruciferous vegetables or SP green food to get some of those veggies that you're not getting into that will help support liver function and give your body some baseline phytonutrients, phytochemicals, and biophoton support to make the cell of the liver work better, and then your body won't store the toxins in the knee. If it's the right knee, and if it's the right knee, and you drive a lot, a little trick. This is a little, silly hack, a posture or ergonomics hack, and somebody will probably design something after I state this, but go to the dollar store and buy one of the pool noodles, preferably the big one if you can grab it, but take what you can get. And get you a big pool noodle, cut it, to size. So what you do is you sit in your driver's seat, you get in the position where you're on cruise control, and your right leg starts to drift to the lateral or to the outside into the console. And if that's the right knee that's given it, what happens is you're staying in that position for extended periods of time. It's not designed to have that wonky pressure on it. It's a hinge. It goes forward and back. It doesn't angle super good, right? So if you stick that pool noodle between your knee and the center console, you won't put that unnecessary stress on the knee, and lo and behold, you get to your destination and you're like, hey, that's pretty cool. And because when we go to cruise control, our legs get lackadaisical and we laterally rotate. Everything falls out. So if it's the left, I guess you could put it between your knee and the door if you start finding it's drifting. But they're definitely, those are easy little things just to kind of keep posture, because as we age, the tonification begins to drop because we're not taking care of ourselves. We're not exercising enough. Maybe we are in a job where we travel a lot and we're cooped up on an airplane in a weird position, or we're driving across country for 2, 3, 4 hours. Mm-hmm. Houston alone, if it's 45 minutes, we don't shake a stick at going. 45 minutes is like a quick ride.
It's normal.
But you don't realize it, but that's 2 hours potentially of your time just in the car if there's no traffic. And the minute there's traffic, now we increase the stress. Now we decrease our ability to handle inflammation. So now you're sitting at in a stressed out situation, and inflammation's more easily attainable in the body, and your body will manifest it through symptoms like that.
Wow. So that's an answer, Jordan. You need to get on that pool noodle. That is a pretty cool little hack. There's things that you don't even think about. It could possibly be this or that. But so let's see. Right now it's 9:36. We're talking to Dr. Aaron Chapa with Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you're watching on Facebook, you can always send me a text, 346-704-1806 as well, and I'll get that on my phone when we get those questions asked and answered. Right now, everybody is kind of in like a quarantine mode, and there was a question that came earlier, Dr. Chapa, is your office open? What services do you have going on?
So we are open. And we have our chiropractic office open, and we have our nutrition office open. We are also doing virtual for people that are more, you just would like to have a visit, but they want to stay in the quarantine zone. Totally fine. We have drop boxes in the back where we can get people, to pick up product at their leisure. We also, because we are open, we can run it out to you. We have people that are waiting in the cars, their waiting room, and then they just come right in when they're in the queue. And then we just kind of we just had to increase, the game to play and communication, and so.
Which y'all are very good at communicating already. No joke. Y'all are one of the best when it comes to making appointments, checking in, everything okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure it's good to go.
But I think it's important too, because like the health journey it's easy to do, but it's easy not to do. And the minute a person steps foot outside back into the real world from Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, we find that they're bombarded with the stresses of life. They're bombarded with junk food ads. They're bombarded with their kids wanting to go to the fast food joint, and and it's real hard to sit in a car smelling really good food because it's designed that way, and not want to indulge and entice yourself. So falling into the trap, we have to create and build games for people to let health be fun again. It doesn't have to be a burden. It doesn't have to be a stress. I mean, it can be. And for some people, it flat out is. But what we try to do with all patients, and this is why this time is as important, more important than ever, to stay on a program, stay with us, let us work you through the process. Because if you stick with this during this time, the next time we get into a crisis, you've already done it once. You know you can do it, one. But two, if you can control something, you cannot control what we're being told in our highest legislative offices or our lowest municipalities in our local areas. But we can, do what we can. Pray for those in the highest political offices all the way down to the lowest municipality. But we can also eat well. We can hydrate well. We can even still do mini blood sugar reset programs. Avoid the pastries. Avoid the cookies. Avoid the sugar. Avoid the cakes and the candies. Avoid the sodas and the liquids. All that stuff is causing more harm to your immune system, and nobody's talking about it. And those things slow down bowel movements. And I'm telling you, if I got sick today, I would go into bowel work immediately. I'd be opening up the channels, making sure everything is moving, because the reason people get sick is because one of two bathrooms in their body is clogged up or sluggish. You've got your main one, your bowels, and you have your lymphatic ones. And so the cells have to eliminate waste as well. And the cells aren't eliminating waste well because they're sluggish and inefficient. Then all that stuff sits inside the cell, and it begins to rot and putrefy inside the cell. And that cell becomes a rogue, crazy cell. It gets all delirious and gets nuts, and we call that abnormal cell tissue. And it can then percolate into an infection. And your body's got to then, get rid of that, and that waste has to be eliminated. And then that waste has to come from your house out to the street so that trash man will pick it up. So I look at the bowels like the trash service. I look at your lymphatics like you gathering your trash in your house. But one or two of your systems are backed up and slow, and all of a sudden you're in a conundrum. You're coming down with itchy, watery eyes. You're coming down with a drippy down the back of the throat. You've got a lung compromised issue because it won't go away. It just starts dripping into your lungs, and now you're more susceptible to airborne pathogens. And then these things get in the lungs. It's just like they can't get out, and the system repeats itself in the upper respiratory tract system, and now you're in a precarious situation. Well, the reality is if you just get in there and clean house, and then you open up the lymphatics, you push the system along. This is what we do at Living Well. We teach you how to work through these things. And yeah, if you're sick right now and with fever, aches, chills, we don't necessarily, want you to come to the office for the sake of other patients that are that potentially might be immunologically compromised. But we do phone consults, and you can call the office 281-554-8600, and we'll happily walk you through care. If you are in a tight spot, somebody can stop by and pick up things for you. We'll do what we can to get you whatever you need through this time. We are fully stocked, fully ready to rock and roll. We are, classified essential, and I'm thankful because, I mean, I couldn't imagine people with, pain in their body even going to the ER right now and catching, a virus that's there that they wouldn't have caught if they had come to my office.
That's what I've been seeing. So I was at the hospital a lot because my son was in the NICU for some time, right? And I was seeing people go to the ER for things that weren't related to
sickness.
Yeah, it was interesting, and and I was wondering, I was like, why? There has to be somewhere else you could go, another way that you could deal with this than going to the ER right now. As they check you and screen you, they have masks over their face, mask on their hands. They check your temperature whenever you go in, like all this other stuff. It was like a scene out of a movie, and I'm so glad I don't have to go there, daily. And I'm thankful for the people who are there working and checking and screening and making sure people are getting the help that they need. But I was like, man, if there was any other way you could treat this, this is the last resort that I would come to, the ER right now.
Absolutely, especially right now.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, and look, this is not to slight medicine by any stretch of the imagination. But when it comes to sick care management, life-threatening situations, that's why they call it an ER, an emergency room, right?
Mm-hmm.
An ER visit. Or an urgent care. There's an urgent matter. Somebody split his head open. Somebody's got a blood pressure of 212 over 110. You know what I mean? Like something that's like really needing medical assistance probably. But most of the time when it comes to health, Western medicine's way behind the times. We're good at patching stuff up and managing it with medications and things like that. But when it comes to being healthy and to prevention and staying away from the unhealthy symptom land track, we're just inundated that they are all-knowing and that they understand, your condition better than anybody else can understand. But the problem is we've gotten so specialized, and this is my biggest complaint, that we've gotten so specialized in modern medicine as it is, we forget what part of the watch tells time. We forget that we have to treat the body as a whole. That there's more than just a heart. There's more than just the GI tract. There's more than just the kidneys. There is a whole system that needs nourishment from head to toe. Minerals, essential fatty acids, vitamins, food, inflammation reduction. There's water hydration intake. I mean, today, I've been doing this, almost 16 years or something. I don't know. It doesn't matter. The patients still tell me their doctor says food has nothing to do with it, and I'm befuddled. Like if that be true, then stop eating. Why we need food at all? Well, if you go look it up in just a simple Merriam-Webster's dictionary, it's to nourish the body. It's to regenerate cellular tissue. It's to help sustain life. So obviously, it has to have something to do with your symptom, And I've seen too often blood pressure issues be all food allergy. And the food allergy came in. And then one guy, he was a 6-pack a night drinker, and the barley and the gluten in the beer was jacking him up. Got him off that. 72 hours blood pressure dropped so low that he had to get off the blood pressure medication. He goes, "What just happened?" I'm like, "You have a food allergy." Had another patient with dairy, had another patient with corn, had another patient with soy. I mean, it is mind-boggling what people go through and don't realize it's all self-induced. Or 80% of it's just tied up in your GI tract. Your bowels just need to be pushed a little bit. We have been taught to floss our teeth, to take care of our cars, to change our air filters. I mean, heck, we even changed the fishbowl. You know what I mean? And how silly would it be, guys? I mean, and laugh, holler, give me something that know that y'all are out there. If I leave the dirty fish bowl, but I take the fish out, put him in clean water in a plastic bag, and put him back in the dirty fish bowl. Is that even realistically? I mean, is that just ludicrous? But that's how we treat it, right? Instead of taking care of the terrain, you've got to get this through. Your new paradigm has to shift to where you're cleaning your terrain. You're taking care of your GI tract every month if you have to. You like that guy that passed 100 stones? Guess when we're doing a gallbladder flush again with him?
When?
Next month. We're giving him 3 weeks off and hit him again. Why? Because he's got a sack full of stones. And the reason I know is because I have been down the terrain. I will never lead my patients to places I have not been. I know how to get to Oz, and I know what the Green Wizard is and who he is, and he wants to meet you. He's, he'll come out behind the curtain, won't even scare you.
What are the signs that you need one of those? Like, how did you know that he needed to flush his gallbladder?
This particular patient, I mean, they want to take his gallbladder out. He's got a lot of pain. He's got inflammation. He's got a bag, but I had a lady. Her issue was she just had this stuck pain. Nothing would move pain, and you could touch, and she'd go, ooh, ah. And she was a nurse, and she just goes, I just don't want to lose my parts. I want to keep them. I know God put them here for a reason, and I want to keep them. And I said, well, good news. I've been down this road. Here we go. And we built a program to clean that out. And now she is in her, I believe, 6th month, and she has passed. We've got it down to about 20 stones now, but she had hundreds of stones. And people go, why can't you just clean it all at once? I don't know. Why does the sun come up every day? Because God told it to. There's things that I don't know why the body will do it in its own time, but I do know, given the right parameters, the right resources, and the right game to play, we can get things to start moving. Sometimes you'll have a big flush. Sometimes there'll be a little flush. But I have seen patients that will come in, and the first time nothing happens. The second time something magical happens. And the third time, storms come. Like they have massive releases of gallstones or things like that, and these are painless processes that are easy. Cleaning up your lymphatics, not a hard thing to do, but something we need to do regularly. Cardiovascular cleansing, like right now I'm doing cayenne pepper every day. I have a supplement in the office that's cayenne. It's very good for your arteries. It melts plaque. It acts a lot to neutralize any thickening of the arterial lining. And it improves the quality of the blood in through the tissues. And so I'm doing cayenne pepper every day, and in a capsule form because it's hot. I don't really want to put it in my drink, and I'd rather take it in a pill.
Just mix it up, Chapa. Keep things interesting.
I know. You got this. Look, to your point, I probably should. But I just kind of like, sometimes I even take the slow
easy
road, the easy road. So
yeah.
I'm crazy, but, I'm not, but I'm also smart. My dad used to say, this will outlast your muscles any day of the week. The brain is so much more powerful, and to think with it is a powerful thing. So, doing maintenance on the body routinely and listening to the ideas that I'm telling you, that your body is systematically wanting to be cleaned, systematically wanting to be overhauled and regenerated. That is what creates the aging gracefully that most of us are desiring and hoping for, the metaphoric fountain of youth, you know what I mean? And because no one gets out of here alive, Gardy, we all know that, but nobody likes talking about it. Mm-hmm. But what if we had better news? Whenever you don't feel like talking about it, we're willing to say, look, be okay with the journey. Be okay with the process. Fall in love with the process, and success is assured, especially if you've got somebody like Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center on your side. We're going to teach you what to eat, what to drink, when to drink, all the new little games you can play. You can bounce all the questions you have around with somebody to get insight to your particular case. And when you do have crises happen and you get allergy attacks, because allergy happens right in the middle of our program, and you're thinking, shouldn't my program fix the allergies? Sometimes. Depends on how symptomatic are you? How close to threshold are you? You know what I mean? And so when you're constantly bumping the ceiling of illness or the ceiling of symptoms, we have to manage some of that and push your body forward and help you understand that you are a systems-based model. Like your body needs systems work. I call it transformational medicine, where we're constantly overhauling tissues and watching them and observing their change. And people that are in their 90s feel better. People in their 80s feel better. People in their 60s feel better. People that have hot flashes and perimenopausal terrible symptoms get better. People that have, just any symptom that they don't particularly want to deal with start to resolve. And it's things that they start taking the bull by the horns and addressing. And so I thought, getting back into some level of normalcy, reminding people that we are still living amongst this situation, and so the situation at hand is, hey, if your immune system is compromised, guess what? I got products, man, and things that will build and boost and strengthen your immune system. One of my favorite ones is this Thymex. This product here is a thimercytosol extract that upregulates T cell activation so that your immune system is more on high alert. So when you have like a issue in the sinus cavities or in the inner ear, you can chew this stuff up and you can see change almost immediately. If you got a headache behind your eyes or in your forehead, typically that's an infection type headache. Or if you see little white spots in your field of gaze, like you're like, what is that? I see a little flash of light. That little flash of light's an infection, a biofilm that just popped. And a biofilm is basically an igloo of minerals that is a gel cell for infection. And so these biofilms are all throughout your body, and that's how your body holds and deals with infection that it can't get to yet. But a product like Thymex will help your body clean that mess up. You got clogged up eustachian tubes, and you feel like your ears are all clogged up, and or you have the traditional. Well, I've been waxy all my life. My ears ooze. Ugh. I've seen some of the craziest things come in. I couldn't even see the eardrum, and we can clean stuff like that up just by supporting the immune system and allowing the immune system to go do the work. These aren't magic pills. These just are food for the system at large, and the system at large wants to be stimulated. You don't have a technical immune system. You have an alliance. You have, your white blood cells, red blood cells. You have your bone marrow. You have your spleen. You have all these systems that manage and regulate the tissues. So the thymus is a huge product. So we have an herbal blend and a one that's non-vegetarian blend of thymus support. And so we get in there and we will get and work with the tissues with a thymus or GT Thymus and or Thymex. And these are just different products that I've found over the years that I can trust and depend on.
Here's a question from Ashley. She wants to know if the kids can take that. And I think she's talking about the Thymex and Thymus that you were just talking about.
Yeah, so the GT Thymus is a capsule, so it can be opened up into stuff. The Thymex is a product that can be crushed and hidden into, I think, what is that pudding that we all love so much? The chia seed pudding. Man, it's like
I almost ratted myself out just then. I'm like, the Jello pudding. Yeah,
not the Jello pudding. Yeah, almost. No, it's the chia seed pudding.
Chia seed pudding. Sorry.
And coconut milk and 6 tablespoons of chia seeds and a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of maple syrup, and you've got yourself a lovely treat.
Cool.
And you can mix that in there very easily. And no doubt you could start giving your kids that. But we also have a chewable version called Chewable Congoplex. I didn't bring it today, but I brought the adult Congoplex, which Congoplex, the chewable and the adult version, have 25% Thymex in it. So it has Thymex support. But it also has some other really neat things. And so let me tell you where I would probably go. If they had active symptoms, if they had active ear issues, or they had active head stuff that was indicating of these infections that they're carrying, I would figure out a way to get the Thymex in because I wanted that extra stronger support, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the support really comes from the Congoplex because the Congoplex is 4 products. It's Cataplex AC, it's Thymex, it's ribonucleic acid, and calcium lactate. And so it's 4 products in one at 25% intervals. And so it's one product that's got 4 different products built into it to support a synergistic effect. So with the kids, we have a chewable version that's easy to hide into things, and it flat out tastes good. I mean, I like it. I know there is some kids that will probably beg to differ, but these are the kids that haven't developed a taste bud palate yet, so we have to figure out tricks and stuff to get them in there. And then, but you can mix these in little teas, little shot teas, and shoot a shot of tea with the Thymex in it, and most of it will go down. We just get creative, you know what I mean? Find any way, every way to get your kids to do it. But the most important thing that I've found with kids is if we just talk to them, if we just help them understand that this isn't, foreign, this isn't something that they get to vote on. This is like where you, as mom and dad, you come together and say, all right, well, this is the way we're going to go. And yeah, they're not going to like it at times. And yeah, you're going to find, I found out, case in point, just my little 4-year-old, she'll take her supplements and she'll run off. Well, guess what? We found them.
Where was she hiding them?
She just blatantly puts them on a counter.
Not even
somewhere.
hiding them.
Not even hide them, just in another room. You know
Wild.
What I mean? And so we're like, oh, okay, we're going to play that game. And so so now we have to we have to re-educate the process. Why are we taking these?
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to waste these. We're going to work through this. You know, we're going to try to get to the heart of it and teach them to understand why we do what we do, so that it's not a burden to them. They just understand, oh, this is what Chapas do. Like, we take care of ourselves.
It's what we do.
And so Congoplex is probably the fundamental builder of all the immune system. And the Thymex, the Cataplex AC strengthens the gut lining. The ribonucleic acid encourages the nervous system and the immune system to communicate better. And then the calcium, magnesium are just building blocks.
So here's a couple of questions, and they're related to the coronavirus. This one is from Kathy. She said, I'm stressed about the fact that people suddenly have airway closing up with COVID-19. What are your thoughts on this, please?
So thanks, Kathy, for tuning in. So here's the deal. If you know you have a pre-existing condition, and smoking in your 20s, by the way, and you're 42 today, could be a pre-existing condition. I mean, because there are some people, and the people that you read about and hear about, this about 2 weeks ago really bothered me, because I was really struggling with what report to read and what thing to research and this, that, and the other, right? And so it was very aggravating, because there is a lot of bad information. Like, a lot of people don't go back in and let anybody know that they're recovered, or maybe the nurse didn't check it off correctly and it got statistically analyzed. So there's like 80,000 people that haven't or there's 180,000 people that haven't stated they're recovered yet, but they have recovered. But we'll never know, and statistically we won't have it, because they got over it, they got through it. Life goes on, and so that's a challenge. When you read stories where so and so never had any pre-existing conditions, listen. No offense, I love every one of you, but please understand, you're all liars. We're all liars. We all have stuff going on that we're not facing, as a real issue, and so we all have some level of challenge that is potentially setting us up for failure. And so this isn't a suddenlies type of thing. This is it. It's a virus that takes 2 weeks to incubate. So just like any other virus, there's 100 trillion viruses that we're dealing with. And when I went and looked up all the major plagues since 134 AD, I did. I mean, I believe yes. I was upset, and I was like, fine, I'm going to history, and I'm just going to go try to do my own research, and I'm going to just ignore the media stuff. And I just started looking at a simple history. When the Spanish flu, 1918, happened, it was cold, and the barracks for the military were unsanitary. The occupancy load was tenfold too much, and there were lack of resources, and it was a cold, unsanitary environment that allowed a spread to occur. And so this is something we have to really pay attention to. We are not an unsanitary country. I mean, we are, but we're not. You know what I mean? Like, I guarantee you, before this ever happened, everybody believed in this thing called a 5-second rule. Funny. But now, heaven forbid it touches the ground, nobody, we're just stomping on it, like, devil, get below me. I will
spray
bruise
with
you
the
with my
Lysol.
heel.
No.
And so with the coronavirus and its suddenly's effect, is recognize that if you're somebody that has that thought, I would say you need immune support. You want to be working on what we've talked about on the front end of the show. Assess your bowels, assess your stress, assess your water intake, assess your sugar intake. Are you getting into the carbohydrates, the refined sugars, the additives? Are you getting into the alcohol? You get into the processed food? I mean, I just saw a report yesterday. They stopped alcohol sales for like, I don't know how many days or something, because people are sitting home doing nothing, twiddling their thumbs, and they're like freaking out. They're like, ease the pain. They're reaching to the wrong God. We're reaching to a substance instead of our Creator. And so we do what we can, Kathy. There's no easy way to explain. But here's what I know. Patient claims that I haven't seen them in forever, but they just emailed us, and one of our patients brought them, supplies and said, I got the coronavirus. Well, did you get tested? No. Well, okay, but it's got to be the coronavirus. I'm achy, feverish, I'm all this stuff. All right. So and so is going to bring this to your doorstep. Stay inside. Do all the quarantine. 2 days later, he's through it. Why? Because we gave him support, and all of his other people, friends that he says that have the same whatever, they're suffering. Well, how do we know it's not the flu? which, by the way, will kill still more people this year than the coronavirus will. They estimated that the coronavirus would kill 2 million people, but now the stats are going to be like, oh, well, it's going to be like maybe 20,000. And I'm like, and I get it, man. I understand. I hear the hype, and sometimes, I mean, even for a split second, I'm like, am I not reacting enough? But and I go, wait a second, I'm not overreacting because I'm prepared. I'm taking supplements. I'm eating good quality food. I'm avoiding the carbs. I'm avoiding the refined sugar. I'm avoiding the alcohol. I'm avoiding the additives. I'm avoiding the processed food. I'm trying to maintain a level of stress-free. And, case in point, a little transparency. I told my wife on Sunday, I said, honey, I got so much to do. And I don't even know what to do. She goes, why don't you just go play with your kids? I said, can I do that? Everybody's freaking out. I feel like I need to be doing something. She goes, no, why don't you just go play with your kids? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go play with the kids. And we went and played tennis. We had a blast. It was a good day. We, walked around in the backyard, and we read books Sunday night. It was just it was like one of the best Sundays I've ever had, And so, we've got to assess all aspects of what it means to be healthy. Where does health come from? Is health a thing? And what determines your health? So when it comes to the coronavirus being, it's not a suddenly thing. It's a virus. It's something that your innate immune system, God put in you this thing called an innate immune system that responds within 72 hours. And then it interacts with this process of interferon that is the transition into what we call your adaptive immune system. Your adaptive immune system is what creates your allergy reactions or your antibody reactions. Allergy for allergens, or allergens for the allergies that you're exposed to, the dust, the trees, the shrubs, the grass, the stuff that we are called non-infectious. But then the antibodies are being developed in this season of time to maximize an immune defense. And let's just assume for a second that this is a new strain and that we've never seen this before in our existence. Your body will figure it out if you give it the right tools and the right environment and the right enough time.
I was going to ask that because I've heard some reports and I've seen mixed, people could potentially catch it again. We don't know if they built up enough antibodies. Is this something that you can get more than once in the same season?
So from what that I can see is it looks to be more of a one and done kind of a deal, but it looks like it's going to be painted, and this is what freaks me out more than anything, is that it's going to be painted as a yearly flu,
a seasonal thing,
and then we're going to clean the fish, not the terrain, and that's my concern. Is we're going to just lean on artificial processes that bypass your body's natural innate system. Okay, so this is if I have any beef with vaccination, and I do for this one reason, is you bypass the innate system. The innate system has to engage with interferon, has to engage with the adaptable system. And the adaptable system then has to feed back information through interferon back into the innate and let the immune system at the foundational root level know the job was complete, that the strategy is in place, that the next time we're exposed, we're ready. See, we think we understand immunology. We don't. We think we understand all aspects of the cell and that the body doesn't know its left from its right. We're wrong. And so I'm trying to help people realize that God created this thing called the human body. He designed it to deal with. He is not surprised. Oh my gosh, I didn't see the coronavirus coming down the pike.
Yeah.
He didn't freak out. He is not freaking out. And so, we have to take precautions, which means eat well, live well, be well, supplement well, stress well, sleep well, rest well, play well, at living well. Yeah, I love it. I had to throw it in there. And so the thing is I just think that there's solutions, way more solutions than putting air masks on or needing ventilators or needing this, that, and the other. Now, if you're a patient that is in a crisis, well, good. We have plenty of ventilators for you because we didn't everybody run to the ER because we got a sniffle. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just like you were seeing at the hospital. And so I'm not making light. Please understand. I get it, folks. You're scared. I totally understand. And I don't want to make light of the situation. I don't want to act like I'm on a high horse, holier than thou, by any stretch of the imagination. But a part of my comfort and confidence is in what I've seen in the last 15, 16 years of work. We've seen this when we went through the SARS epidemic. We've seen this when we went through the H1N1. We've seen this with all the swine, the avian, every few years, 2 years, we get something like this, or 4 years or something. It's like a routine thing. And so there's always going to be something to stress about. There's always going to be the next catastrophe, the next 9/11, the next this. And so this is a situation where the stress, I think, is going to be more catastrophic than the actual bug itself.
And so that leads to the next question. This is from Amber with Butler's Courtyard. She said, something I'm worried about for our world is the spike in depression and mental health issues. Could Dr. Aaron Chapa give some advice on battling depression? I mean, business owners, they're saying some businesses will probably never open again, and I know a lot of them are seeing a big decline in what's going on, with their normal everyday.
And Gardy, that seriously breaks my heart more than anything else. Is that, like, I'm seeing emails come over, say, please come buy $20 fajitas from us to go because we're not going to be able to stay open. Like, we won't make it. And so this is like that time where, we all have to make a decision in who we're going to support and when we're going to support it. And prayerfully, I pray that we all do that. And every one of us will feel the economic effects of this more than we will feel the immunological effects of this. The depression piece comes into, you have to have a network of people that you're able to interact with. You were not designed to be alone. That's why God made you a spouse. That's why God gives you the gift of children. That's why God gives you a friend to cry on their shoulder, or just to be a listening sounding board ear. And accountability and relationships is Hebrews 10:24 and 25. Let us consider one another in order to stir up love and good works, not forsaking, here it comes, the assembly of ourselves together, which is the manner of some. But so much the more as you see the day approaching, get in the trenches with somebody. You've got to have a sounding board. And it is nice that we have technology where we can talk, but man, there is nothing like looking at you in the eyes, Gardy. You know what I mean? And I mean, it's just different.
Thank you.
Oh,
that's the nice.
And I knew you would like that.
I appreciate it.
And there's nothing like rubbing shoulders with people that you care about. There's nothing like shaking a hand, or I'll be honest. I understand we're supposed to social distance, but my gosh, man, we have to do the holy nod. Seriously, like, I'm annoyed.
The Wakanda, Wakanda forever.
And how long is that going to go on? Now we're going to be afraid to touch our fellow man. They're not lepers, I mean, when you go look, it's like, I love what this one pastor said. He said that this is not Revelation 13. This is not the end of the world. He says it's Leviticus 13 lived out. We need to live out as 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter, played out in the realm of Romans 13, which says, hey, give Caesar what Caesar's. We got to, Caesar says we have to stop. I guess we got to stop. You know what I mean? And then us as the people have to go, oh, yeah, where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord. I look to the heavens. He owns cattle on 1,000 hills. I'm blessed going in, I'm blessed going out. I'm blessed in the field, I'm blessed in the city. Lord, if it's your will, it's your bill. You're going to help work this out and get us through this challenge. And please, folks, if you're somebody that's not going to make it, I believe that God will give a window of opportunity. He will give you something else so that you can bear the change. And this is one of those, I almost brought it with me this morning, but a book called Who Moved My Cheese? And it's a great book about, and it's funny because I hate cheese. And so Who Moved My Cheese? I threw it in the trash, you know what I mean? But the Who Moved My Cheese is a book about life's always going to throw you a curveball. Life's always going to change, and how you handle the change and how you roll through the change determines how you thrive when the next catastrophe comes. And so I pray for those businesses. when I go to my office, I am very thankful that my doors are open, my prayers are being answered, that I can be a light in to our community from the north, the south, east, and the west. And I pray that we can remain such. I pray that people will know beyond a shadow of a doubt my heart is in a good place. Like, I want to serve. Jennifer wants to serve. Dr. Amber wants to serve. My staff want to serve. Like, we believe in what we have to give as tools and resources to the people. We believe in the knowledge that we're sharing. It's not rocket science knowledge, but it is a reminder when you're flipping out what to do. If you don't know what to do with little Johnny, and he's about to drive you bonkers, what do? Assess your stress. Take adaptoglucosidase and Neviton, and then give him one too. Give and calm him down, and then call a friend, phone a friend. Who can we reach to reach the masses? And so I sit back and I know this is a challenging time. I hate the fact that I can't go to church on Sunday. It does. It burdens me. It upsets me. Because I feel like a little bit like I can't practice my freedom.
Think about how hype church is going to be whenever people can go back.
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope people get fired up and go, wait a second, this can be taken away.
Sometimes we do take things for granted, and just little things, not having to wait in line in a grocery store, being able to go
take
to
your
church
kids
and
to the grocery store.
Take your kids and drop them off at school. You take your teachers for granted, taking it all for granted.
So, I think that there's silver linings here. I think there's opportunities we can glean from situations like this. But I think that this is where I love KHEA Radio. We are a positive Christian radio station where we want to bring light, hope, and comfort to people that are going through real struggle and trouble. And there's no doubt about it. People are struggling and there's trouble on the horizon. And I'm telling you, what we need to be praying for is, the economy, the small business that was dependent on every person that frequented their door. And so, my prayer is that we pray for one another, that we do what we can to assemble together. And I pray that you guys would share and like this video so that people can get the insight, so that they are prepared, that whenever the corona or flu or strep or staph or earache or toothache hits, you're not reaching for an atomic bomb, a.k.a. an antibiotic, or some antiviral that doesn't work, that's loaded with preservatives, or some other, remedy that isn't going to make it work.
Or having to go to the ER unnecessarily. There's other things you can do
so
first.
Many other things you can do first. And, please know, if your arm gets lumped off, don't come to my office. You know what I mean? That's where Western medicine is
beautiful. You could make like a new arm.
Yeah.
Just like put a couple of these together. That's the best you could do.
But the reality is this is where we have to be able to know what, assess things a little bit. And you say, is this is this a Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center issue, or is this I got to get to the ER issue? And even doing this work doesn't guarantee you're not going to get sick to some degree at some point for something.
Right.
I never want to paint that picture that I got the solution, I got the cure. We don't cure, we don't diagnose, we don't treat conditions. We help heal people through nourishment. We feed people. Remember, all life starts and stops at the cellular level, and nutrition is the fundamental backbone that allows us to spiral out of control or get traction and move forward. And so, I just want people to recognize that this is how we work through challenges like this, as we know what adrenal support we need to get through the challenges, and we know where our help comes from, and we make sure we're not living on famine foods, and ensure that our systems are running optimally well. And this is a reminder, and I don't mind teaching it over and over and over again for reassurance, because I'm very confident that if you came down with coronavirus right now, I could help you through it. I believe that not because I have the magic pill, I don't, but because I have fundamental principles that will allow your body to perform better under extreme stresses. And so, if you're in a struggle, if you even think you're in a tight spot, have somebody call us. We will leave it outside. You can pick it up, and you can get on your way. and get home and get well, and we will help you through it in every way we can. I mean, thankfully with technology, man, we can do so much more via virtual reality, which is kind of cool. But definitely nothing takes away the human interaction, the element of assembly.
We should have bought stock in Zoom. That's what I learned. Found out.
Amen.
Man,
yeah.
Hindsight. So in a week, what do you think this next week is going to look like for the world and for everybody, for you? Even?
So I think it's going to be, unfortunately, more of the same. I think we got another order from
President
Trump about to the 30th now instead of Easter. And I think that now that obviously that has to go through our government officials and things like that, which I hope that we can kind of keep it as is. I mean, I really think we are. I mean, if I can just say it, I mean, I think this is not the plague. This is not the Spanish flu. This is not even close. And so I think we shot off our flares for the wrong bug. But at the end of the day, I'm still taking precautions. Still making sure that we wipe down stuff and wash hands and do all the due diligences for comfort and ease of mind. But I think that supposedly what I heard yesterday was that it's a wave, right? It's moving and running its course, and in my opinion, it should be less. It shouldn't be running like the whole flattened curve thing. And so if people are really not leaving their states, it really shouldn't be spreading.
I think they are, though.
But well, I mean,
people don't listen. You can tell them 100%. This is the cure. This is the answer. Take these and prep your immune system.
Well, but people,
you can know you won't do it.
People have criticized me for being open. Letting people come in my office. I mean, because there's a 2-week incubation period. But here's the deal, dude. I can't give you what I don't have, and I can't give you what I don't want that I'm not going to catch. And I can't guarantee I'm not going to catch it, but it's not likely whenever I'm taking the necessary steps to ward off whatever. I mean, look, it's to run from a virus is like trying to get the sun to not rise. It's just you can't do it. Instead of running from the invisible microorganism, remember what the Bible says in Genesis. We are to subdue the creepy, crawly things, are we not? I mean, it's biblical, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
So at this point, we're allowing the creepy, crawly things to control and subdue us. Something is wrong, folks. And so, in my opinion, this is what we need to do. We all need to get on our knees, and we need to pray to God Almighty and say, Lord, this is your fight to fight. Like, help people understand what to do. Help give people the wisdom and insight to make good decisions.
Doctors, leadership, politicians, president, everybody.
Amen. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. Amen. Yeah. I'm in a full agreement. And from your throne, Lord, we need to pray to your throne, not just for our highest municipality. We need to pray to the throne room and for your ears to hear, and that you would disperse your allegiance and angels to come down and fall upon us and help us see the error in our ways. That we do need to slow down. We do. I need to slow down. You know what I mean? I find that stress is the underlying killer of most people. They drop dead because of a stress issue way more often than they do from a viral invasion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, when you go back and if you just do a simple YouTube documentary search on the plagues of the past, all the way back to 134 AD, okay? Every one of them were unsanitary conditions. Every one of them were in extreme cold temperatures. Every one of them, people were huddled practically up on top of one another, huddling around a furnace, just trying to get a finger full of heat on, because it's so blistering cold. The environment, like for the Spanish flu, or even in World War I, you got the trench workers getting trench foot. Was because there was dead bodies and fecal matter, 200 yards upstream, and the rainwater would wash it down, and you're trunching around through that mess. Of course they're going to be sick. You know what I mean? It's like we are not living in that society. We're not even close. And yes, I know your neighbor's a hoarder. I know that Uncle Sam never seems to clean his toes. But dude, at the end of the day, this is not that kind of situation, and I think that with the tools of good, healthy living, the water that we have access to, and the sanitization that we have access to, just through the fact that we have closed sewers, not squirt on your hand sanitization, just the fact that we have closed sewers and clean water is step one in eradicating most every pathogen that you're going to face. And so it does make me think and realize, man, maybe we are at fault, as the people, uneducated, ignorant, ignoring grandma's wives' tales and her home remedies. People still don't know how to make bone broth and how powerful bone broth is when you're sick. People don't realize the amount of minerals you can get from that. You can't eat anything, we give you bone broth. Why? Because bone broth is just minerals. I suck and extrapolate all the minerals out, and then I just nourish myself back to health, And then with the vitamins that we have at our office, Living Well Clinical Nutrition Center, man, we've got the 2.5% healthy and safe that you can take no matter what medication you're on, no matter what you've been diagnosed with. We will custom build and blend one that is to your comfort and liking.
Thank you, Dr. Chapa. How can somebody get a hold of you? How can they find your website? How can they book an appointment with you now?
281-554-8600. That is our phone number, and our website's justlivewell.com. We definitely encourage people to, like, share, and comment on our videos. And, we want to hear from you. We want to know you to be comforted during this time. And that's why we get on this show. That's why we stay in the trenches at the office and loving people back to good health. And so I'm excited for the people, and I'm excited for an opportunity to be a light for Jesus to those that look to this office for help and comfort. And please know, it's not Dr. Aaron Chapa's show. This is God's show. He has ordained me to be in the position I am, and I am thankful that He's put me here. And we're going to keep up the good fight. We're going to stay in the trenches, and we're going to keep working until we're told otherwise.
Thank you, Dr. Chapa.
And one last thing, Gardy. Let's just quick little prayer before we close out. Is that good?
Yes.
Dear Lord, we just come before you. You said in Matthew 18:20, where 2 or 3 are gathered together in your name, there you are in the midst. And I just pray, Father, that 2 or 3 would gather in agreement with me, that in the name of Jesus, that you would restore our land, that you would restore our economy, Lord, that not only would you heal us at our most fundamental levels, Lord, that you would show us how you want us to be healthy and strong through salvation in your Son, Jesus Christ. We, Father, pray that you would then begin the sanctification process in making us more whole, the thing that you're most interested in, our holiness. Father, I thank you that you would just allow us to see past our immediate needs and see the big picture for what it is, and that we would stay in faith, that we would walk by faith, and we would live out this life by faith in the Son of God, who loves us and gave himself up for us. And I just thank you, Lord, that you sent your Son, Jesus Christ, for us, and we can all rest assured that the peace that surpasses all understanding, that would fall upon all of our land, all of the world. In the name of Jesus, amen.
This is KHEA Radio, 99.5 FM. Coming up next is my good friends Brightwork. The song's called The Great Exchange. All right, Facebook. Hey, I'll see you guys later. I miss haircuts. Y'all be good.
I miss haircuts. I need a haircut.